You will leave home for a few days or go to work in the morning. But is your beta really safe during that time? Many people make serious mistakes when they leave their beta alone without realizing it. Wrong water level, a broken filter, uncontrolled feeding, or complete darkness. Each of these can pose great risks to a small but sensitive beta. In this video, we'll look at 6 mistakes you should never make before leaving your beta fish home alone. And we'll explain step by step the reasons behind each one, their effects, and the best approach. If you want to keep everything in order in my absence, this information is for you. Number 6. Quitting with sudden temperature changes. For betta fish, temperature is not just a number but a lifeline. And if that line doesn't hold steady when you are away from home, a silent but deep crisis begins in his inner world. Many people might think, what's a few degrees? But for a betta's delicate body, a few degrees can mean a weakened immune system, slower digestion, or even stress-induced behavioral disorders. If your aquarium doesn't have a temperature stabilizer, or if the ambient temperature at home changes a lot during the day, your betta will be exposed to a huge fluctuation when it's left alone without realizing it. The temperature may rise during the day and drop suddenly at night. These ups and downs disrupt its rhythm and make it vulnerable. Remember that betta fish are tropical creatures. The ideal temperature for them should remain constant in the range of 25 to 27 degrees Celsius. And this constancy becomes even more important when they are alone, because when you are not there, there is no one to compensate or notice the change in temperature. Always check the heater before you leave the house. If it is too hot, consider the evaporation rate and the effect of the fan or air conditioner. If it is winter, make sure the heater is on and the thermostat is working safely. Number 5. Overpaying the amount of the oath in advance. Before leaving home, it may be comforting to think, I'll leave a little extra feed so he won't starve. But that extra feed can turn into poison in a few hours. Betta fish don't eat to fill up, they eat to keep their eyes on the bait. It's in their nature, it's their instinct, and when you suddenly stop feeding for a few days, that little body consumes more nutrients than it needs. You may not notice it at first, but then you will see a betta that is heavy, barely surfacing, discolored, with slow digestion. But the problem does not only end with what it can eat. Uneaten feed settles to the bottom, disrupting the structure of the water. Ammonia levels increase, bacteria breed, the water becomes cloudy, and when you return, the aquarium may not be clear, but a pool of danger. Unfortunately, many still believe that overfeeding is an extra favor. But for the betta, overfeeding is always a burden, both to its body and to its water. If you are leaving for long periods, use an automatic feeding device set correctly. Ask a trusted relative for a measured feeding once a day, or choose not to feed for 2 to 3 days. This is not a problem for a healthy betta. Number 4. Leaving the light on or completely dimming it. Betta fish get the rhythm of the day not only from the temperature, but also from the light. For them, morning is a world that slowly brightens. At night, a silence that darkens with peace. But if you leave the house and forget to turn on the light, or if you leave it in complete darkness, saying it's safer to keep it in the dark, its internal clock will go haywire. Bettas biologically lead a regular light-dependent life. The cycle of daylight and darkness regulates its sleep-wake system. If this cycle is disrupted, feeding time is disrupted, digestion slows down, movement levels decrease, and most importantly, chronic stress builds up in its little body. A light left on all the time prevents your betta from going into night mode. He can't rest, he can't shut down, he can't sleep. This is a kind of eternal day for him. And just like our night without sleep, he becomes tired, restless, and vulnerable. On the other hand, it is also against its nature to stay in complete darkness. Because it waits for the sunrise, it wants to move according to the arrival of light. In the dark, it loses its orientation, becomes immobile, and may exhibit depressive behavior over time. Therefore, the ideal solution is to use a timer light system for the aquarium while you are away. A constant illumination of about 8 hours a day maintains both its biological and psychological balance. A small light on-off timer may seem like a small detail to you, but for her, it is a reassurance that the world is still in rhythm. Number 3. Setting the auto feeder incorrectly. Automatic feeding devices can seem like a savior when you're away from home for long periods of time. But this little machine can become a silent danger to your Betta if not set up correctly. Because these devices work in hours and grams, not with your precision, one too much and the water structure is destroyed. If they underfeed once, your Betta can starve for days. The most common mistake is to trust the device without testing it. But each device works differently according to the type of feed used. Powder feed, pellet feed, granulated feed, all come out of the device at different speeds, and sometimes a small difference in setting can mean a whole meal for a Betta. Before using the device, observe the output of the feed you put in it for a few days. Find out how much it gives. Do not set it more than 1 or 2 times a day, and if possible, keep the feed in an area that protects it from moisture. Because moist feed will clog one day and the next day it will suddenly fall out. And this imbalance will upset not only your Betta's digestion, but also its world. Remember that device is just a machine. It does not work with love like yours. Its only task is timing, but your task is to keep its balance. Number 2. No plants, no place to hide. Betta fish live in nature hiding among moss, leaves, branches. For them, not only the water, but also the spaces in the water are part of their sense of security. But if you leave the aquarium just an open, empty volume while you are away, from your Betta's point of view, the whole world seems unprotected and endless, and this creates a great sense of threat for a small fish. Plants, caves, or hiding places are not just decor for Betta, are elements of his coping with stress. When he feels uncomfortable, taking shelter in a corner, getting out of sight is a quiet way for him to rebuild his inner peace. Movements or noises outside the aquarium can be more threatening, especially when you are not there. In the aquarium, however, a few live or artificial plants, a small ceramic cave, or a coconut shell can create a great sense of safe space for him. In an environment without plants, its behavior becomes restless. His stress level rises because he feels he has to be out in the open all the time, and this stress weakens his immune system. In addition, hiding places offer not only physical, but also psychological boundaries. It allows him to say, "This is my territory, this is my silence." Number 1. Lowering the water level too low, or overfilling. For your Betta fish, water is not only a source of life, but also the walls of its home. It should be neither too little nor too threatening. It may make sense to lower the water level a lot before leaving the house, so that there is no overflow. But remember that Betta fish, besides their gills, also take in air from the surface of the water with a special structure called the labyrinth organ. And if the water gets too low, they have to spend more energy to get to the surface. Especially when they are alone for a long time, this loss of energy becomes a serious problem for them. On the other hand, filling the water too much is another risk, because a high water level reduces the distance between the surface and the aquarium lid. This can cause the Betta to jump out of the aquarium in case of a sudden splash or stress. Especially when left alone, it is almost impossible to notice these silent accidents. Ideally, the water level should be safe enough for the Betta to surface comfortably but not to splash. It is usually sufficient to leave a gap of 3 to 5 centimeters between the water level and the top edge of the aquarium. Also, an unbalanced water level, it affects the heat dissipation, changes the water flow, and can impair the performance of the filter. So even a drop of excess or deficiency can have a big impact on the world it inhabits. When you leave home, your Betta fish is not only alone, it continues to live in the silence you have left. The water level, the light, the sound, the feed, the temperature, the filter, even the presence of a plant are small signs that say, "You were here." And what we have explained in this video may have seemed like simple details, but for a Betta, these details are the cornerstones of its life, because when you're gone, those details are all that's left for her. So what do you do for your Betta when you leave home? Are there any special precautions you take to maintain its routine? Write in the comments. Let's learn together. Let's protect it together.